live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
I'm Diablo Joe.
And we're joined by the Adams family of Toby Poser.
Hi.
Hello, John Adams.
What's happening? Nice to see everybody.
Nice to see you again. And Zelda Adams.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And it's very exciting. I saw it's coming to Toby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
by
cool.
it, I mean where the devil roams.
Yep. We're so excited for people to get to watch it. Like, we've been just like waiting for people to get to see it. And it's great that we have a platform we get to show it on.
Yeah, and the trailer's awesome. I showed my mom today, who's a big fan.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, I've been sharing it around already. It didn't take long.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate it.
So for people not aware, haven't seen the trailer yet, can you give them an idea of where the devil roams, what that is?
Yeah, Where the Devil Roams is about a family of sideshow performers during the Depression era of America. And when they have a murderous side act that keeps them on the road, but when some shit goes down, it's up to their daughter, Eve, who's a very quiet, dark angel, to put the pieces back together.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain too much about the movie without giving a lot of it away, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's like we loved making this movie. This was a movie that we all chased together. It just kept unfolding in front of us. It was this kind of beautiful experience, and it's dark and bizarre, and it also has a lot of roots in, like, we set it in the 30s, but it's kind of very mirroring today's America.
Diablo, you were so generous to us with your review. What did you think about our kind of having some contemporary, fixtures in a Depression era film?
I love that because it basically what it gave me was a sense of, like I think I may have referred to it specifically as like a dark fairy tale sort of thing. It's a very surreal film. It has a lot of moments where you're just your mind goes into this very deep, what am I watching place, and I like the fact that it doesn't quite feel real, but it still feels like a solid period piece. It exists in its own world.
Oh, that's so really great. Nice.
That's cool.
You said a lot of things right there that we wanted to do. We wanted to set it in the 30s. But we didn't want to be locked down by the rules of a period piece. Yeah. And so it was fun to cast characters like Razor and Adam that are modern Carney characters.
Right.
That's what they are. And they're these beautiful people that have their own Carney act, and they were perfect in our movie with their modern tattoos and piercings and everything. It was really fun.
And when Joe was talking there about it feels surreal, the world, it's not quite real, and it is. But then what I thought really made that interest, and then all the when she's taking the photographs, that seemed real. So it's like that's like the real part of this world, and the rest of it's like this weird dream.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna steal that.
That's an interesting thing.
Well, we definitely
it wasn't like that's stupid.
Yeah. When she takes those pictures.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Go on, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Those were some fun things to make. Like we employed some friends who always wanted to be killed on film. So we're like,
I'm glad you added the on film part.
Yeah. Well, we're rehearsing, and yeah. So a few of those friends got to be in those pictures.
So your last movie was your COVID movie, I think, was like, so it's very sparse in characters. Even Deeper You Dig doesn't have a lot of people. This has a lot more cast members. So what was that like, actually, working with a lot more people than you normally do?
Honestly, I found it quite great. A lot of the people that we hire and work with are our close friends and family. So it's kind of like we're just hanging out with them, on the job, but kind of in our own like filmmaking realm. Wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah, they brought a lot of, we want to expand our characters, and we want to expand like our palette, you know, and so finding the right people to work with is a joy. And I think we were wildly lucky about the people that we got to work with, because they all brought, you know, we had our ideas of what we wanted, but they brought what they had. And a lot of the time that was what was beautiful about their characters, was just what they had inside of them. You know, again, it's like people like Razor, people like Sam, people even like our neighbors, or people from the grocery store who wanted to be killed. Like the woman that gets killed over the tire is a neighbor, and she loves our horror movies, and she's always talking about them. I want to be in the horror movie, and she was amazing. Her name's Colleen, and she was so good at being terrified. It was wonderful.
She looked like she was absolutely, it wouldn't be any other place but in laying in that bed.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
When we were directing her, we told her what to do, and she was, you know, tied up to the tire, and she just started acting her ass off, and we were like, "Oh my God,
Film.
Is she okay?
Yeah.
You're good at this."
Yeah.
And Justin Julio, who I'm friends with, and Annabelle and I are friends with, so that was very cool to see him in the movie. And so, how did you get in contact with him? Because I'm pretty sure he's from Boston.
No, that's great. He wrote us on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, I would be honored to act in any of your movies. So if you need someone with no legs, I'd love to be in your movie." And we were like, dude, we would be honored to have you in our movie. And so I started writing him. We didn't have a part, and we wrote that part for him, and it changed the movie, and it adds such a beautiful element. And he was this amazing, again, wonderful person to work with and get this great acting. So what happened was, like you said, he lived in Boston. And so, you know, we were like, "Hey, how about we drive to Boston and we'll film you up at your house?" And he's like, "Okay." And so we drove up there, and we didn't totally know what we were doing at that point. And he was such a great sport, but we didn't get it, and it wasn't his fault. So a couple months later, I tried to edit it together, and I said, "Hey, Justin, I'm really sorry, but can I come pick you up in Boston and bring you down to our barn, because we're more comfortable filming in our barn. We could do a better job." And he said yes. And what it did was it gave him 3 months to kind of rehearse the role. And for me, Justin's flawless.
He's incredible.
And he's already getting a lot of great feedback. And so we're just so happy to partner up with him.
Yeah, he's amazing in it. That's awesome, actually, that you wrote the role for him, because all his dialogue is great. The whole, you know, it really opens the movie, and I can't really imagine a movie without that.
He looks.
I was like, where are we going with this? With the audience there and everything. I'm like, is this? And it threw me off time wise.
Great.
Cut into the film. Are we in contemporary or are we in the past? It took me a little bit to establish it, and I think it wasn't really that I didn't really firmly get 100%. We are in the Depression, but we're not quite. Was till your flashbacks.
Well, we had seen Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And we had just watched Frankenstein in the middle of when we were kind of talking with Justin, and we were like, "Oh my God, we have to have an intro like Frankenstein. We have to do this." And it's like, it was just perfect timing. A lot of the time, that's the way we like to make films, is allow things to fall into place.
Yeah, and I don't think he's seen the movie yet. I know he's very excited to see it, because everyone's telling me he did a great job, and I'm not just telling him he did a great job because I like him. He was awesome in the movie.
He's fantastic. He really does set the tone for everything to come.
Oh yeah.
He does such a nice job of it.
He has so much weight that he carries on his shoulders in those first minutes. You know, basically, you know, rolling out the mythology of the film, and with some lofty language, and he's got a great voice.
Oh yeah.
It was just such a pleasure. We couldn't be happier.
and he cut his hair for us, and he was just a sweetheart.
Oh yeah.
I even at the beginning there, I almost thought, is this like an old poem that he's reading that I don't know about? And I was like, oh, it must be written for the movie. But it was.
Well, it goes back to what Diablo says, which is it's a dark fairy tale. And what better way than to start out with a narrator? And, everything just worked well with him. So we just love that. It could be my favorite part of the movie. I have a lot of favorite parts, but that is definitely one of them.
Now, a lot of the locations, were they just stuff? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Diablo. Were they just places like you had in mind? Like, hey, we should use this at some point? Or?
We're sitting exactly. Let me show you something. Thank you for having us to dinner.
Well, then you did have them.
right here.
Yeah.
No spoilers, folks.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, we really shoot basically within 3 miles of our home, and because we're so fortunate, our grandparents we're in our grandparents' home right now. They have an incredible house, and it's very 1930s looking. In the end, we shot in a old boarding house that my aunt owns. So we're just so fortunate to have like these wonderful gifts of sets. It's incredible.
Yeah, and the Catskills have stood still in many ways over the last 100 years. The buildings have, it's kind of a forgotten place. It's now getting really discovered very fast, but it's still just little single roads. It's filled with old broken antiques. Our house that I grew up in was an old boarding house at the turn of the century. And we have access to real old things that we just used. We didn't have to go out and really buy anything except the dolls, right?
Yeah, except the dolls. But what's so funny is I just thought about this now. A really big part of the storyline is Eve, taking photos. I think that was born from one of us literally finding that camera around our house and being like, oh, this looks like it could be from the 1930s. We should use it.
Yeah, it was my dad's.
Oh my God. Yeah. So funny.
Every time I saw the shears, they looked just like my grandma's old shears that we had around the house forever. And I tried to find them. I couldn't find them. But
Yeah.
Weren't they beautiful?
Yeah.
They are my grandmother's old shears.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, that's marvelous.
Yeah. Are you guys near Hunter Mountain? Go on.
Yeah, we're near Hunter Mountain.
We're kind of like an hour and a half from Hunter Mountain. We're in the Catskill Mountains. But I used to play soccer in Hunter Mountain quite a bit, didn't I?
Yeah, we played Hunter a lot. They were a good soccer team.
Oh, okay. That's where I learned how to stone carve was in Hunter Mountain.
This is her house.
This is her house.
Hello, it's good to see.
This is the only house when I said that nothing's changed since the last 100 years. This is the only house with internet. So.
Oh
no.
What were you saying, Joe? Sorry.
Well, I was going to ask you. You had mentioned that you like for things to kind of come to you as you're working and feel right. But one of the things that I was really impressed by was the cinematography. Was that something that you planned out ahead of time, or was that something that developed during post?
Well, I know that personally, I knew where the story was going, and I really wanted the colors to change as the story went on. I think it's super important because it's such a transformational movie. Things get really dark and dead and not very good, and I really thought that changing the coloring was important to me. What do you think?
Well, that is what happened. Zelda said we should turn this into an old movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great idea, but we filmed it and it looked so beautiful that our first pass, when I brought it to Trey, our effects guy, we decided not to listen to Zelda. And so we gave it back to Z and Toby, non-color corrected. Well, I love the movie, but turn it to black and white.
Yeah. I love the vignetting that started to develop towards the end, and it's just the little bit of flicker. It wasn't overdone. It wasn't. You weren't beating it in the ground.
I thought it matched like the themes of the movie, like things start to age and rot, and the movie did it as well.
Yeah. And that was the time when talkies also were replacing the carnivals and vaudeville.
Mhm.
So it was kind of fun to step into cinema. And I think there's a very performative, theme going on with the mother really wants her daughter to have some fame, and they go to these little sideshow performers who just like have Buffalo Horror Show starry eyes. So it was kind of fun to sort of put them into a film where they were almost like the devil's actors, the devil's puppets, by the end.
Mhm.
Is anything in the carnival stuff inspired by anything like you've actually read or researched?
Well, absolutely. First of all, when we knew we wanted to make this movie about the carny circuit, we just looked up hundreds of pictures of the carny circuit, which was really fun. And very quickly, we realized how poor those carnies were, and knowing how poor we are, that we were going to be able to match their production, because a lot of those like posters were just self-painted by non-artists, and so it was built by rotting 2x4s and canvas sheets. So that was really fun because it made the production process a lot easier. Like when we first started filming, we watched a movie called what was it?
Vampire?
No,
Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley. And I turned to Toby and I was like, "Oh my God, we're so fucked," because it looked the production value of that was so expensive and so high. And Toby was like, "We're not making that kind of carnival. We're making a nasty old carnival from the Catskills." And then I felt relief, and it was a lot easier.
Have you seen the original Tyrone Power Nightmare Alley?
I have not yet. I'm dying to.
Oh, they're both great movies, but it is much sadder.
Oh, cool.
A much sadder sideshow.
Ooh.
Yeah. Another thing that did inspire this, though, I'll be honest, it's not the most showy inspiration, but I used to watch American Horror Story all the time, and season 4 really stuck with me because of the clown antagonist. He scared the living hell out of me, nightmares every night. But I tried to think about why he was so scary, and it was because of just the way he looked and the makeup effects that he had, but also his emotional storyline that they gave him in that season was super impressive. And that's one of the things that inspired this movie, was like exploring the story behind antagonistic people.
That's actually my favorite season of American Horror Story. I know some people actually hate that season. I'm always confused because I think it's the best season, especially from beginning to end. Yeah, because I think a lot of the seasons I think they kind of run out of ideas and then they kind of repeat themselves. But that one from beginning to end, I thought was great.
Super
I agree.
And you're like sympathetic for all the characters.
And they did something fun too, kind of jumping into, kind of meshing modern with, when she would go in to start singing something from Ziggy Stardust, Life on Mars.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, they did that a few times that season. Those were great, like the musical montage there.
I love that.
I like when things break rules and they know they're breaking the rules, and they do it because it's going to be something really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be something really interesting and different. And I like that. It's entertainment. It's cinema. It's magic.
Yeah,
you guys are making magic. Magic should come out of left field.
That's with you.
And I liked in your own movie where the devil roams is a few times it does there's almost like it could be a music video. You play it's not super long, but it's like it could be cut out and used as a music video, a few of the scenes.
Well, speaking of music, cooking up a new soundtrack that's fun. A lot of the music isn't on there, and some beautiful stuff is being made in our household.
But we've been real thankful about the people that enjoy our movies because they have enjoyed the music too, and they kind of know that that's integral to what the four of us do. We do have a band together, and so it's nice that we're kind of, in a sense, given permission to use the music to drive story.
Was all the music that used in this movie made specifically for it, or were there any songs that you had and like, oh, this will fit?
This one was all made for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Hellbender we had music, we made music. It was very like we did everything from ballads to like, you know, grunge industrial. This one we really wanted to have a style and a tone that we wanted to match, you know, our visuals. And so we had fun. We worked hard on the music, and I think we all agreed, you know, on the style that we wanted, and it was a good time.
It really fits well. I noticed it, but I didn't overly notice it. And then when I saw the film, I've watched it now 3 times.
All right, thank you.
And the you know, the last time I really listened to the music, and I was like, this is really going to be some. This is. I would love if an album ever came out of that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're putting one out.
We're gonna put one out, and a lot of extra songs are gonna be there. Like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I wish some of them could have made it in, but they're, yeah.
You know, it's funny because when we first were filming, we tried to do some music that sounded more like the 30s, and we did it. I think we got to about 3 songs and realized, like, no, this isn't honest. Like, we're not being honest, and we canceled it and got back to what we did.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice. I think, you know, I think there's no better way to watch a movie than in the theater with people and on the big screen. And usually people can say because it's a big screen and you can't escape and all stuff. But also a big part of it is the sound, because the sound's all around you. So what was it like watching Where the Devil Roams in a theater with people?
Oh my God, so nerve-wracking. For our premiere, it was crazy walking into a room like full of people because we'd only seen it on a computer screen this big. So one, you're nervous seeing it on a huge screen. Like, are there going to be any mistakes that we couldn't see on the tiny screen? And then that fear is just fueled by the like hundreds of people inside the theater. So it kind of feels like you're watching it for the first time. And like that is kind of a horror movie in itself.
And I think in London at Fright Fest it's going to be in the IMAX, which is going to be crazy, which will be kind of fun.
Have you been to Fright Fest before?
Yeah, we were there with The Deeper You Dig, and we had a great experience. Have you guys gone?
Yeah, I've been. I was twice. My first movie last year, it premiered at Fright Fest, so that was a very very nervous experience for me. Yeah.
I have never been.
The first time I went I was just as press, which was cool too. But that's like an amazing festival. It's so busy, and a couple of the theaters are giant there.
I think one of the things that we all know about watching the movie the first time with an audience, or actually any time with an audience, is you think you know what you've done, you think you know the movie you've made, and then when you watch it with an audience, you realize, oh, no. It's not the movie I made. It's a different movie. And you learn so much by the audience when they laugh, when you can feel the air go out of the room, when you can feel the tension rise. Like, that's when you find out what your movie is.
Have you ever edited a movie based on like reactions at a festival?
No.
I know people have, so I don't know.
Our kind of rule is don't ask anybody anything, do what you want, and then suffer the consequences.
We do learn a lot, like afterwards, though, like from reviews and critics. Like we do think about it when we start making our next films.
That's true.
But I always say though that I would hope that there is some maybe division, because I think you don't want to be too safe. If you're constantly trying to please people or make something you think they want to see, you're just not going to grow. It sounds hokey, but I really do mean that. And I know with this one, we really tried to kind of, try some new things and flex some new creative and visual muscles. And by doing so, we've taken what we've learned and gone and stretched that out to try something new with our new feature. It's important.
Yeah, I loved it. I've loved all your movies since I saw Deeper You Dig, and so I'm always excited when you have a new one.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Neal.
Well,
Yeah, I think in my review that I did, because I've reviewed all 3 of them, the review though of Hellbender, I was saying how I really was anticipating what would come next, and what I'd like to see if somebody were to give you a much bigger budget, just so you would have the resources to do what you want to do. But then I also said that I wouldn't want to see anybody constrain you, because you guys are so you've got your own voice. You're developing your own voice. That's still developing, and it's really progressed, I think, with this film.
That's the nicest thing that you could say.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we've got something interesting coming out that's different from us. We worked with the guys from Not the Funeral Home who do Last Drive-In, and they flew us out to Serbia to do a great Serbian crude production.
Not a Serbian film, but a film in Serbia.
Oh yeah, no, but it's like the Serbian crew, and a lot of it is in Serbian, and it's a creature feature, and that one
awesome.
is going to be coming out on Shudder, and that's a really new kind of realm for us.
Oh, this is really interesting, because the thing I like about horror is if I want to watch a crazy monster movie or something silly from the 80s, or if I want to watch something more thought-provoking, or just a big bloodbath, like I like actually all those different things. So I'm interested to see what you guys do with a monster movie.
We had a really great time because we love monster movies, and we're just like you. Like sometimes, it's like, do you want to watch the Serbian film tonight? No, thanks. Let's watch, The Exorcist, or no, thanks. Let's watch Gremlins. And it's like, there's all these different kinds of horror movies depending on your mood. And we made a rock and roll monster movie in Serbia, and we loved it. It was really fun.
I'm very excited about this. Now, you said you went out for Serbia, and there's like a different crew there. So, anyone else like involved in that you work with normally?
Yes. Trey Lindsay came with us. He's our effects guy, and he's number one, just this beautiful human being that everyone should be around, because he'll make your life better and he'll make your art better. And so we were able to bring him, and he worked with a pretty famous effects guy named Todd Masters. So Todd made the monster, and Trey kind of brought it to life. And the two of them were just really neat to work with.
Well, I actually have Trey's name here because I was going to ask, because I thought the effects in this were great. All the gore stuff was awesome, and it was, because it's a very gory movie at times.
Yeah.
We knew with this one that we wanted to try a new kind of horror. Our past ones were more like, spiritual and like psychological horror with like some witchy effects, but this one we really wanted to try body horror, lots of blood and messed up stuff. So of course Trey was the first one that we went to, like, hey, do you think that you can make this happen? And he freaking did. He is awesome.
Yeah, we watched
very visual, very visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted that. We wanted to let's make a movie where we don't cut away from the brutality, because it's kind of important to all the characters' storylines. If you cut away from the brutality of all the things that they've done, then you don't understand the price they have to pay.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking of one specific now that's very suitable for the Station of Decapitation, but
right,
that's a great scene. And I was just about to say, it's not a fun scene, which sounds very strange when I talk about decapitation, that it would normally be fun, but it's a very, it's an emotional, dark scene, and it's done really well.
Super duper painful. He's not wrong, however. Like, he's not right and he's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the movie that we wanted to make. We wanted to make the movie about everything in between good and evil, because that's where the devil roams. God is in his own place, but the devil roams between good and evil, amongst people. And that's what we wanted to make.
Anthony Curry says, I can't wait to see this flick.
Yo, thank you.
Thank you.
He's so pleased when he does.
Greetings from the Pig Lady crew. I believe Todd just reviewed that movie. That's very cool. And also about the gore, because sometimes I think something that's overlooked on gore is sounds, and there's a lot of squishy sounds and stuff, which really adds to the effect, I think.
Thank you. We worked hard on that.
Yeah, it's also so funny. Like, we'll just be doing anything around the house. Like, I might be like opening up a bottle of jam and slathering it on my toast, and John's like, "That sounds really good. We need to record that."
Yeah, it would be funny to be like, and when this arm is getting cut off, this is the sound of raspberry jam over sourdough
Zelda's
bread.
breakfast, right?
Yeah.
But only Smucker's brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's true, right?
Once you start like making, horror movies, everything is like an opportunity. Everything you listen to is like potential. Like, what was I doing the other day? I was there was like an old bed spring, and I just started playing a song, and it bing, 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 bing on this old rusty bed spring, and I was like, oh man, that is like the soundtrack. And John's really good at taking those sounds and kind of manipulating them and stretching them to their even eerier.
Well, yeah, like about metal, like, metal cuts through a lot of flesh in this movie. And Toby found a kind of like a Japanese sitar when we were in a small town in Bisbee, Arizona. And so she bought this little Japanese sitar, and that actually is the sound for all the metal cutting. It's not saws, it's that, and it sounds perfect. It's like, there's something just special about it.
And we were like sitting in a bathroom in this really weird sort of haunted hotel in Bisbee, Arizona, I think, when you were like playing it.
Yep.
Because we found it there, and he's just sitting there. I hear this noise, and I walk into the bathroom, and John's just like sitting on the toilet, going.
You okay in there?
I love it. And I hope to hear
wonderful with you guys.
Yes, and I hope to hear some bed springs in your next song down the road.
You guys mentioned gore, and Zelda can attest to this. With Hellbender, we went to a lot of festivals, so we watch a lot of other people's movies. And one of the things we really got enchanted with was everybody else's like body horror, like The Sadness. Did you guys watch The Sadness?
I love The Sadness. That was one of my favorite movies that year. I thought that was great. And we had the director on the show. Cheap plug.
We really loved it too, and it had a big effect on us. And it was like, you know what? Those guys aren't cutting away, and they're doing a really good job. It's not like computer baloney blood. It looked like how did they do that? And that's fun. That's fun art, And then we also fell in love with a movie called
The Golden Glove.
The Golden Glove.
I've not seen that.
Ooh, if you want brutal, dirty, bloody, makes you not feel good and have to take a shower after, that's the movie.
And
I get a big smile when you say that.
Well, you're gonna have a bigger smile when it's over, but it's a brutal, nasty movie. It's supposed to take place, I think, in the 70s. And
Germany.
One of the things we loved is 70s Germany. What we loved about it was that it felt so grimy. There was no production value to it, and it just seemed so honest.
Yeah. Did you guys see Megalomaniac?
Loved it.
I did too.
That was my favorite film of last year that I saw.
Well,
Same.
all right.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
I feel bad I've not seen it.
I haven't either.
Oh,
that's brutal too.
Yeah. I'm glad that's finally getting a release.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, it's finally. I think it's September. It's coming out. Yeah.
Who's putting it out?
I think it's going to be Shudder.
All right, great.
Nice.
Good for them. That's smart.
I could be wrong on that, but
when I already talked about the festivals, but what was it like to see the end? I won't give anything away, but to see the ending of your movie with people. I like Zelda. Yeah. Zelda did an impression of John in the movie.
I'll tell you what it was quiet.
Really quiet.
It was really quiet.
I
didn't know whether, for me, I think it's super funny, but I think people were a little shocked. And then the music came on, and then everybody clapped. And there was this huge, big clap. But it was like, I was very interested in, what did you think was going to happen, Toby?
I thought it was quiet too.
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen?
I was wondering if people were going to be like, oh, but I didn't really hear that, which is almost even better because
it's like a shocked silence. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a shocked silence. So it was like, I was like, oh man, I think we knocked the wind out of them. I thought people were gonna laugh.
Yeah, me too.
I had exactly the reaction that the audience did. I literally just was.
I mean, for us, it was so funny.
Yeah,
that's what I thought for like an audience at a festival. I did think there would be people that would laugh because it's like a specific type of person going to see these, movies at a festival. It's not like regular folks, people. Maybe they would just leave or be shocked or something. But because I remember seeing Human Centipede 2 at with an audience at a convention. And everyone was just laughing at everything. And I remember watching it by myself before the convention, and then I was like, wow, this movie's pretty out there. And so it was very strange to watch with people, and everyone was laughing. I was like, I guess this is a funnier movie than I imagined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zelda, you mentioned that there wasn't as much spirituality, in this as like the your previous films. I mean, but there is a real spiritual aspect. I saw. And it really wasn't something, that was like so obvious. It wasn't like, so on the nose. But your character's name is Eve, and you're being tempted by a serpent with an apple, essentially, with forbidden knowledge.
Yeah.
But I didn't really lock onto that till the second viewing. And is that intentional?
Yeah, you're completely right. It is a super spiritual movie. I mean, I didn't think that a lot of the horror was very spiritual, like it has been in our past films, but religion does play a really huge part in this movie. I mean, Seven, his name, me, Eve, the forbidden apple, like you said. Also playing with the idea of the Holy Trinity, and the number 3 was super exciting. And I'll just speak on my behalf. My sister and I have grown up, homeschooled a lot, and we've learned a lot from John and Toby. John, majored in religion, and he taught us a lot about religion and just how interesting it is. So it's fun putting that into our film and kind of exploring it through our storylines.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is our most spiritual movie because it's all about forgiveness. It's about every single one of them is forgiving each other for what classic religion would send you to hell for.
Right.
And they all are forgiving each other and living as a family and dealing with super dark pain. And I love the spirituality of the movie and the way they get through it. Like when religion is brought up, they bring up Gnosticism, and that's important because Gnosticism flips everything on its head. And it says, eating the apple is a good thing. And I think that we hope the audience talks about the morality of these people because we're giving them the knowledge to talk about the morality of these people. And it's a hard conversation, because there is no good and evil. There's everything in between, and that's what this movie's about.
Our characters also kind of have something in common with the devil in this one, the fallen angel, who is kind of an outsider and a misfit, as are all the people in our film, the carnies and the people in the Depression. I'm sure felt very ignored, by life. They were struggling to survive. It was the perfect time for us to play with this story of the fallen angel who disguises himself as a human, and that's where he can find love, but he's not immortal, so his love dies, and so then he's enraged, and meanwhile God's been sleeping above, and when he's a pauper, he doesn't even see the devil. The devil's just disappeared, and he's hanging out with the odds, the ends, the criminals, the broken and beaten. And we really wanted to make a movie about those kinds of people in a time where most people were broken and beaten, and yet find the love there too. And I feel like the devil is really a kind of stealthy protagonist here.
And Zelda, relying, since you don't have dialogue, regular dialogue, I guess, in the movie, you sing in the movie. What was that like to act in the movie? I guess relying mostly on your presence and your face.
I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a super fun acting challenge because in all of our past movies, I've talked, and this was just super fun because it taught me that I really have to, work on my mannerisms and my expressions in my face, and it was just such a hoot. And also, I think it added to her character a lot because we wanted Eve to have a reason that she sticks around with her family. Her like lack of a voice is one of the reasons that she can't just like go off because her family's super fucked up and go do her own thing. No, she has to stick around with them because they're kind of all that she has, and literally without them she's voiceless.
Cherry the dog got a credit, which I was happy to see.
Yeah.
Miss that girl.
And the car was also mentioned in the credits. So whose car was the 1931 Chevy Coupe?
That's my dad's Chevy.
It's about 50 yards away from here.
Yeah.
And it ran well. It ran through that winter. Sometimes it didn't run and we had to push it, but mostly it ran and she did her thing. She's a beautiful character in the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the shooting length that you had for this? I mean, there's a lot you guys are doing in this film. I mean, it's a period piece, and that's a real big undertaking for any filmmaker, let alone
it doesn't seem that long since Hellbender, that it came out.
Go ahead.
It was great. We love shooting in the winter. The winter's cinematically perfect for us and like our themes. It's brutally cold and it can beat you up pretty bad.
Yeah. And we also were wearing like real 1930s clothes, and it made me realize these don't keep you that damn warm. Like, the shoes I wear, which are like pretty little kind of like ballet 1930s shoes, they were wet in 1 second and my feet were ice blocks.
You looked really good in those clothes.
Yeah.
It was worth it. That's what we've learned is like shooting in the winter. It's hard because realistically it is super cold, but it is so beyond worth it because it's gorgeous. We only shoot in flat light, so everything is kind of like it has a dark, cool tone, and also blood looks just so good on snow.
Yeah.
No, Trey Lindsay, to get back to Trey for a minute, how did you find him? Is he just a friend of yours? Like, what's his background?
I had a friend who used to come watch my band play in New Jersey, and then he started working kind of like for Fox TV or something like that. So I knew he knew people. And when Zelda and I made a movie called The Hatred, and we had done our own special effects and very quickly learned that that was really difficult. And so I asked my friend Robert Huntley, "Hey, do you know anybody who actually does effects?" He gave us Trey's name. And we just hit it off. Toby and I went out and met him. Oh, and you were there too.
Yeah.
We all went out. We met him for pizza, and we were instant friends. And he's just grown with us since the beginning. And we wouldn't be talking to you if he hadn't joined our family. He changed everything for us.
The carnivals in the deeper where the devil roams are some of that is his beautiful artwork. Painting in the backgrounds, that he's just incredibly talented. And he's also just like the person I consider him a horror mentor because he just knows everything. And he's introduced us to so much within the horror realm. And I just love him so much. He's so wicked smart. And he's just a yes man.
Yeah.
And artistically, yeah, he wanted to stretch his legs too. Like when we were like, is there any way we could actually have like tents in the background? And he was like, yes, we'll shoot things we'll put up a green screen and I'll paint in tents and I'll paint in smoke. And I think it's super romantic. Like me personally, I find the movie really romantic looking, and that's his art in the background doing that.
And he's really stretched us out because we have not really wanted to work with green screens before, and we're scared of them because it's like, but he really influenced us and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, the only time that I went, oh, okay, we've got a green screen going here was because of the situation of the opening. I know that the crowd that I'm seeing is a period crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't hire 500 extras.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so I know there's an effect there, but the rest of it is so seamless. And the stylizing works with that a little bit to help blend it in and make it a unified look. And it really the feel it works. It works top to bottom for you guys.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
he'll
you.
love
Major kudos to his work. Major kudos.
Huge compliment to Trey.
You said it was playing Fright Fest. That's the end of this month, right?
Yep, we're leaving in a couple days.
Oh, sweet. So where does it go? So anyone in London area, go out there and see it. That's a great place to watch movies. That's a great area. It's a great festival. And what are some of the other places it's playing?
We'll be at Fantastic Fest. That just got announced. And then, we'll just be like hitting the
Telluride Horror
circuit.
Show.
Oh, very cool.
We just got into a really good one down in Argentina. And we've got 2 in England. Mayhem and what's the other one that's so cool?
The Celluloid.
Celluloid, yes.
But you're not big enough.
Oh, wait, when is this podcast? Oh, this is.
Oh, it's live. Yeah.
that
So,
boy.
yeah. We'll forget that part. Yeah.
I
understand.
I was
so you
wondering why
can't say
Zelda was
something.
going like this.
I guess I should have asked if go on, sorry.
I predict you're going to be good enough to get into the Buffalo Horror Show.
Oh. Well, thank you.
Are you planning? I know it gets expensive to go to all of these, but are you planning to go to several of them?
Yes.
Absolutely. We love meeting people, talking with people about movies, and we love watching all the other horror filmmakers and what they're doing.
It really is like one of the major highlights of making a film is going to actually watch it on the big screen, but also getting to like immerse yourself in the horror audience. They're just like a second family.
Yeah. What would you say some of the benefits are of having your movie at a festival and, like you're saying, actually attending?
I honestly think this is kind of weird, but we learn a lot about our film through discussing it with people that have just watched our film. There are so many times where someone's like, oh, I see this like nuanced thing about your character. And it's like, oh yeah, we meant to do that. That's totally. Like someone said something about my name, Eve, being the 3 letters between Seven's name. And it made me start thinking like, oh, wow, like Eve, she, symbolizes sin between S and N, sin between 7. I was like, oh, that's just so interesting. I don't know. People are so smart, and I love learning from them.
Yeah, that was one of the things I missed during COVID. I obviously people had worse problems, but was going to festivals and watching movies with people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We missed it too.
And it's very exciting. Tubi, it's going to be on Tubi. Do you know when the date will be when it's on Tubi?
We don't know. I think before it's on Tubi, it'll actually be on the regular like TVOD, it'll be on the usual places, and then it'll find its home. But I think originally it'll just be on like the rent or buy on the usual platforms. Yeah, this fall.
Yeah, but if you can, the most exciting way to see it is on the big screen.
Yeah.
I wish I would have saw it. Hopefully I get to see it in the future here on the big screen.
Yeah.
There's no better way. I know it's cool if you have to watch it on. I mean, people have big TVs and stuff, but the big screen's the way to go.
It's also that interaction with your fellow viewer.
Right.
That synergy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can all sit in silence together at the end.
Yeah.
This is a real kiss to cinema too. So, I mean, it is perfect for the big screen because, I mean, it is one of the things we notice about going to festivals and talking with, it being in the horror community is how much people do go back and watch black and white. They watch Vampire, they'll watch Frankenstein, they'll watch Nosferatu, that, they don't care. Like, they love that. And we knew that, the horror community gives you permission to make a black and white movie, because they're not afraid of it. I don't know that the comedy would, you don't see many comedies come out black and white or dramas come out black, but the horror community can watch it and accept it and love it and have fun with it. So it is a nice place to see it on the big screen because it is a definite kiss to cinema.
And a lot of horror movies, stay around forever. Where like a lot of movies, even big movies and stuff, like from the same time periods, like are just forgotten with time.
True.
There's not like a festival or a convention dedicated to rom-coms, or
No.
as far as I know, maybe there are, but yeah.
Come on, we know what you're doing on your
Yeah,
weekends.
right. On Tuesdays, you're at the rom-com con.
Right. But you're saying though, one of the coolest things I ever saw at the theater was the silent Phantom of the Opera with the live orchestra on Halloween. That was one of the coolest things.
I want to see that.
We've done that a couple of times. It's really fun.
We saw Nosferatu with the live organ
nice.
player, and it was phenomenal. So cool.
We do screenings where at the museum where I work, and I so wanted to try to put together for the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu a live performance. We couldn't pull it together. It was just, we'd just come out of COVID,
Yeah.
I would love to see something like Nosferatu or Phantom of the Opera with a band like System of a Down.
Ooh,
like
just
total heavy duty.
I like that. Similar to you moving away, because you got like modern music set to something from another era.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. As long as they get, I will say, unfortunately, one time I saw the Frankenstein, not the original Frankenstein. Well, not the silent one, but with a live band, and I don't think they understood the movie at all.
It could be a disaster.
Yeah.
That's half the fun of it, right?
Yeah. Plus, it already has a score and stuff, and it was not a good experience, honestly.
Okay.
But I like the idea.
I have plenty of bad ideas. I've got more if you want to hear them.
Yeah, let's hear some bad ideas. But Zelda, were you always a horror fan, or they didn't force you into watching the horror?
No, I don't think that they forced me. I just remember Toby gradually showing me horror films. I was like 8, and she was like, "There's this wonderful little movie called Carrie you might enjoy." And I think since then I was hooked.
That was a good one. I enjoyed watching that with you.
Yeah.
And we had a good talk about it.
We really did. Yeah. And I think it slowly kicked in. Yeah.
Well, I think it's okay. I mean, obviously, as a horror, fan and a supporter, I think it's great to introduce kids to horror films because I think it teaches them to deal with a lot of their fears and a lot of the good and bad in the world. It keeps their mind open, but you have to do it in a way that they feel safe.
Yeah.
Never make them feel genuinely like they're in danger or, it's okay to be scared. This is the fun. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You do that, it's great.
Yeah. And I feel like the times I've had the most nightmares are when I was young and decided to watch like a horror movie on my own. That environment is what made me scared. But there's something comforting about your mom bringing you a scary movie and watching it together, because then you can take it on. You can fight your nightmares together.
Yeah. That's how I started watching horror movies with my mom, and I turned out totally fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Neal's mom is legendary.
Yeah, so the first movie I remember was at the drive-in. So single mom would bring my older brother who's 9 years older, instead of get a babysitter, just bring me along. And so I was like 4 or 5, saw Night of the Living Dead, and I got upset when the pickup explodes and the zombies are starting to eat the people. And my mom told me, "Oh, they're just having a barbecue." I was fine ever since.
That is so great.
That is very, very cool. What's your mom's name?
Brenda.
All right.
So I've tried to get her on the show. Maybe we'll get her on here eventually.
Oh yeah.
All right. So where can people follow you and Where the Devil Roams or Hellbender to see, what you're up to?
Well, all of our films and trailers are on our website, which is wonderwheelproductions.com. But we're mostly on Instagram at adams.family.films or Twitter, Adams_films. And we have our band, Hellbender, with the E's for sixes, or sixes for E's. Hellbender.com is our music.
Yeah. which we're all big fans of here.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
spinning it this month. That's really nice of you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know here.
If we make another vinyl, we'll send some of the first wax to you guys.
All right, I'll put one up right up here
Oh, nice.
next to something or other. But yeah. Oh, by the way, last week I'll actually send it to you. So last week we had Fred Vogel on from August Underground. And so in between interviews, I usually play like some music set to just imagery from the person's movie. And so I just threw it together real quick because I didn't have a lot of time. And I was watching, I was like, this is really like, it was very disturbing seeing pictures from August Underground, which is a very extreme horror film. And I was playing and Zelda singing, and I was like, this is very strange. It really worked.
Awesome.
I love it. That's great.
So it worked very well. Well, anyway, thank you guys for coming on. This has been awesome.
You guys, it's
Thank
always
you,
nice
Neal
to
and
talk
Joe.
to you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Wonderful talking. Thank you, Neal, for bringing me on today.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for coming on. And Annabelle's sorry she could not be here. She liked the movie, wanted to talk to you guys.
No
We'll
worries.
see you guys hopefully live soon, right? Maybe on the road.
Yes, yeah.
That'd be beautiful.
Very good. All
I
right.
can't wait to see your creature feature.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm very excited.
Should be pretty soon, actually. Yeah. It's
I'm
called
very-
Hellhole.
Oh,
Excellent.
hellhole. Interesting.
So, and Shutter Shutter is the one who did it. So.
And I want to know what Brenda thinks about it.
Yeah.
Yes, right. That'll
Yeah.
be the important review. Show it to mom before anybody else. Let's get a quick review up there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what her favorite horror movies are. I'll get her on and we'll talk.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
I
thanks,
do.
guys.
Yeah, I saw a lot of movies I probably shouldn't have saw at a very young age, but it's all right. All right, guys. Well, we'll talk to you guys soon.
You
And
rock.
check
Love
out
and everything, guys. Thank
Where
you
the
so
Devil
much.
Roams. Yeah.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
bye, Joe.
Bye.
Thanks, Neal.
All right. I'm gonna play some tunes.
Blood on the stone, whispers for the hellhounds, tear in the sky. Listen to them fall down. I can hear the love screaming for the lost ones. I can hear the love screaming for the lost ones. Whispers for the hellhounds. Whispers for the hellhounds. All my love is sacred, filled with veins of hatred. All my love is dead and gone. All my love is sacred, filled with veins of hatred. All my love is dead and gone. Blood on the stone, screaming for the lost one. Blood on the stone, screaming for the lost one.
This is R.A. Mihailov, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and you're watching Without Your Head. And you will be watching Without Your Head if you don't watch Without Your Head.
Oh, and we're back here. Yeah. I'm glad you guys stuck around. That was cool.
That was
So-
good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you the one with the. It's very weird. It's I actually cut some of the pictures out because they were a little too graphic, and I was like, this is just too weird.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. We should have Diane Franklin on here at some point. We're still live, just to let you guys know. So don't give me any dirt on John while we're live. And everyone will.
He supposedly had a nightmare with his tooth today.
Oh yeah, that's actually why my brother's not on here tonight. He had a crown put in, and his jaws giving him issues.
Oh no. Oh no.
That's like John's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
He's a lot of tooth horror. Poor guy.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Well, we're
Well, I hope he
sending
feels
him.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, Neal.
Bye. Bye, Toby. Bye, Zelda. Bye, John. All right, so hopefully I'll be joined here momentarily by Diane Franklin. And if not, you guys are just stuck with me for a little while here. So don't mind me while I check my emails. I could just play something, but no, I think she's here. All right. Boom.
Oh, I made it.
Boom. Hello.
Yes.
It's good to see you here. All right. So, just in time, we are joined now with Diane Franklin. You got a new movie out, which is very exciting. We're going to talk about that. And just how are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, this is really fun and nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you. All right. So, I'm Nasty Neal here at the Station of Decapitation without your head. And I'm here with Diane Franklin, who I just told everyone that momentarily. And we're going to talk about Waking Nightmare, which is out now from Terror Films, which is really a unique movie. And if people haven't seen it yet or they're not aware of it yet, like, could you give them an idea of what it's about?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So basically, here's the deal. I play a mother, but it's not just like the token mom. Okay, so basically, here's the story. I have this is a story about a college girl who is played by Shelley Regner, who is in Pitch Perfect and 1, 2, and 3. She was one of the Bellas. And she is coming home from college because her college roommate died, committed suicide, as we think. So basically, she comes home and she comes back to her family. Now, this is very common right now, where an older kid will come and live home with the family. This is like in the 20s, 20-year-old so coming back from college. She comes back and she's had some problems before she left. Even she's been sleepwalking. She sleepwalked since she was little. And I, as her mother, am very concerned about her, as is her father. And basically the deal is that she comes home and, things are a little rocky, coming home, living with your parents again, never easy. Okay. It's always got some kind of drama, leave me alone. I have my own life, but at the same time, you live in my own house. It's the same. It's that conflict. Right. And then basically she sees her old friends. She's kind of figuring it out. What do I do? And she's trying to make believe I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. But her condition of sleepwalking is getting worse and worse and worse. And so what's happening is when she does sleepwalk, she has no memory of what she does. And I, as her mother, am very worried about her at the beginning of the film. But as we go through the film, you start finding out that the problems do not begin and end with the daughter. The problems continue and break out into the family. So this film, I'm going to tell you what is so cool about it. First of all, it's super indie. All right. The credits are indie. The framing, the shots, this is nothing you've ever experienced before. And even the story, where it goes. This film is, I've never done a film this cool. I mean, it's really cool. It's just takes you and shakes you up. And my part in particular, if you've ever been a fan of my work in the past, in the 80s, I recommend do not see this film, because I am not like you've ever seen before. This is a whole different ballgame. So if you want to remember me as the sweet, nice, innocent girl, and you want to keep that memory, totally cool. That's great. But this is the film that will probably change your mind.
Yeah, no, I got to see it. I was, I thought you were great in the movie, not just because you're here. I thought it was great, and I think that really works in the movie, that people know you, in a lot of different roles, and to see you in a totally different light. I don't want to give away the movie, but you might see some images and think what's happening. But yeah, and you really nailed it. You really had a park. Yeah,
I really appreciate that, because I did a movie in the 80s called Summer Girl that was pretty crazy, and I almost was nominated for an Emmy because of it, because it was such a crazy world and crazy character. Like it was so this movie is really special because people like actually in the cast have said, oh my God, Diane, like your work in this is like insane. Like, it's like, and to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it is similar. It's the most outrageous I've ever been in a film, but I think that it's exciting. It's pretty cool. I mean, and I appreciate you saying that you like the part, because I think that it wakes you up. You don't see it coming.
Yeah, and I didn't, and when I was framing it, I didn't want to mean like, oh, it's just cool because you think of you a certain way and you're totally, cast different. But that's part of it. But you really did a good job with it, which really adds to it. And is that part of the reason what interested you in the role to begin with?
Well, I love challenging parts, and I like to push myself beyond my comfort zone. I really like to try things that I've never done before. I mean, any role that demands something of me that no one's seen. I love surprises. I like to surprise my audience, and I like creating characters that are completely different. And I'm not afraid to get real and raw. And I'm not afraid to bring truth to things, like bring truth to people and roles, because the whole goal of acting is really to bring the human condition. In this particular case, in this movie, like, okay, so you might watch it and go, oh yeah, I just want to be entertained and it's really cool. But a lot of people can relate to this situation. A lot of people can relate to the parent who is controlling and crazy. There's a lot of parents out there who, are crazy. I mean, and I'm not going to say like, let's just put it this way. I'm not the first person who's ever said that. Okay. So, sometimes you get a parent that means well, they think they're doing the right thing, but they are not they're just not. Mm-hmm. So I really feel that this character will help a lot of people who watch it, because they're going to go, oh, wait, like that, we thought that they was the identified patient, we thought the daughter was the problem. Wait a minute. It's not just the daughter. So,
yeah, and I think, you should be able to, you grow up thinking, well, I can always trust my mom or my dad. Right. And then, that's very horrific right there. Is the idea.
Completely. And again, what's really cool about you saying this is that what is horror? There's special effects and there's ghoul and, monsters and, there's all kinds of horror effects. But to me, the scariest are the ones that could actually be real. I mean, this stuff to the extent of the story isn't real, but the situation is. And I think that's what makes it really cool. I feel like, and you can tell me how you feel about it, the movie, like after you watch it, you really, like after you've gone on this ride, it's like being on a roller coaster. During it, you might be like freaked out or like what's happening or really confused. And then afterwards you go, that was really cool. Like I would watch that again. Like it's kind of, like, wow, once you want to kind of know what's going on, then you watch it with different eyes. But you can tell me your thoughts.
No, I think that's a good point. There's, that movie just off, for example, like Fight Club, if you watch it a second time knowing like, the twist or whatever, then you can see different things, throughout the movie that you weren't looking for to begin with. And I could totally see what you're saying. Like, once you know where this is going to watch it again, and you could see maybe some hints in just the way you act around other people and whatnot. And I wrote down a couple. I thought your delivery on "You Can Trust Mother," and I thought that's really when your character starts to go a different way. And I love the delivery of that. It kind of gave me a Psycho vibe, like from Norman Bates kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think this is going down. My role in this film is going down as one of the scariest moms that exists. It's going down in the Carrie mom world. I think. I think it's pretty rough because also I also have to say that like my relationship with my husband, Jamison Newlander, who played my husband, we have a really good relationship because there's always someone in a family who's really like maybe aggressive or pushy, and then the other person is the passive one. And it's nice to see the relationship between you, kind of see how does this family get away with all of this, and it's because one of the people in the family's passive. And I think that that's usually the case, where something, if someone's the pushy, crazy, angry person in the family, there's got to be a passive person who allows it to happen. So that dynamic is real, and I think it'll hit home. By the way, how did you like my scenes with Jan Birch, who was amazing?
Yeah, multiple time guest here on the show, Ian Birch, a really cool guy, and yeah, your stuff with him is
intense.
Yes,
it was intense, and we had a great time doing it, and it was very, very intense. The acting was intense with him. It was intense with Shelley as well, when we did the kitchen scene, and it was in acting world, it was fun because we could trust each other and we could play off each other, and it was, we felt safe. Every time you see one of those scenes where I'm like really violent, then all of a sudden, after they'll be like, cut, and I'll be like, are you okay? Are you okay? So I'm like, did I hurt you? Are you all right? Like, it's kind of funny, just, my nature, would come out after. So
I think horror movies, and especially independent horror movies, give a lot of really good roles to veteran actors that you don't normally see maybe in other genres. And so, you're not just playing the mom character that's just there and the mom doesn't really do anything. You're
right, the token mom. I totally, that's exactly, like, people ask me why I do horror, and it's like, because that's where the meat is. That's where the roles are. That's what the emotion is. They're not often given in a TV show, or a lot of films, they focus on the teen and they have the mom just show that they have the mom or dad there as a token that the child, this is the world that the child's been brought up in, but we're not going to get into their storyline, which is fine. That's the story and the focus of whatever that is. But in a film, I think this was really unusual because the story obviously is focused on the daughter, but we're brought into my world, and I think that's unusual. I don't know,
I definitely unusual, and it works in the movie because I think it takes you off guard because you're like focused on, like, oh, she's the mom, you can trust her or whatever, which really works for the movie.
Yeah. People, I'm telling you, when you see this, you will be surprised. Even by me saying this, and you kind of understand what's going on a little bit, you will be surprised because it is, even when we did it, I had no idea what was going to be the result. I just knew that when I was in the moment, we would just, take it, and everyone was really happy about what happened.
Now, you've done horror since the beginning of your career, so you've done horror movie stuff. But had you done like so much like a violent role before?
Good. I'm glad you asked that. No, this is my first role that I have ever been violent. And I have to say, it's interesting. I'm really glad you said that because I'm not somebody who likes violence, really, except for the fact that I mean, look, if somebody messed with my kid, I'm sorry, but I get violent. Right. My kids, like, I'm sorry, I would go there, just that's the way it goes, right? So you never see yourself as being that until you're in a situation where you have to protect your loved one, and then bam, you are there. I would say that it was interesting because playing somebody who is that angry and that it's so like a flash of white light. I think the idea is like when anger hits you, it's like white light. You can't control yourself in that emotional state. It just comes out, and anyone who's near you is going to feel that and be affected by it. So it's kind of interesting. It was an interesting experience going through that because it's not cognitive, it's emotional. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it was dedicated to Cleve Hall, who did the effects. Had you worked with him before?
Yes. He was involved in TerrorVision as far as and I met him. I can't even believe that he is not with us anymore. Lovely man, sweet, just, I'm glad that they dedicated it to him. And just crazy with all this stuff that's been going through in the, this film was done before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit. And then, so we were always, all of us in the cast were like, when is it coming out? And, part of it was like, well, maybe it'll never come out because we don't know, and I'm really glad that it finally is out. And I'm glad that they made a tribute to him because this film has been hanging on the thread, like kind of just waiting to come out. And I'm glad that he was able to participate in it, Clive. So that's special.
Yeah, and I'm glad and it's a movie that was specialty because it's you're doing different things you never did before, and what was that like though to wait like 2 years or a year before it actually get released? It gets
weird. It was so weird, and I've never in my life done a film that didn't come out, within a year or so. I mean, maybe Bill and Ted's, maybe a couple of years for that. It was just odd, and I kept saying like, when, why, what's holding it up? I guess I have to say that this was really perfect timing because I want to share this with the audience too. I'm a SAG member. I've been a SAG member for 50 years, 50. Okay. So because of that, with the SAG strike, you're not allowed to promote or do any interviews. But because we are only talking about this film and not my career in general, I can talk about it because this film is an indie film. It was not done with the studios at all. And it is being distributed on a private platform of Terror Films, which is why I can do this interview. If this was being distributed on Amazon, I could not do this interview. So it has to do with the timing of it. Is getting a lot more exposure, I think, than it would normally if everything else was out. Right. It might get more attention. And I just think it's great that people remember me because I've been doing this press now, I'm really happy that people want to meet with me. And after all this time, like they still want to meet with me based on my previous work. And they're excited to see what I'm putting out now, which means that the work I've done before is interesting enough that it makes them curious, like what's going to happen.
Of course, yeah. And I would love to ask you about the previous work, but we'll do that another time when things.
Another time.
Yeah. But I do want to ask about the strike itself right now, is because I see a lot of fans not knowing exactly like, some people are like we shouldn't like review movies. Some people I even see like we shouldn't go to movies. Like what would your answer to these people?
I think this is a good question. Okay, so basically the idea that to my understanding is that, okay, so we're fighting for rights with the studios, and there's a certain amount of studios that they're focusing on, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild. And why they're doing this is obviously entertainment has changed so much, okay, from the time in the 80s when I was starting to, there's generations and decades where now entertainment is so different than it started. The way, the procedure, the process, how many people are involved in it. So that's the first level. And then what's happened is when you're asking, like, can you post something? Well, the truth is, if it encourages financial gain from the big studios, then you should not do it. Meaning, if I promote something that I've done that is streaming on Hulu or Netflix or, anything that is like a streaming service, that's kind of going against the union. So if you're reviewing something that is, going to promote, I mean, you're not an actor, so that's the difference. The difference is this is an actor strike and a WGA strike. So we're not allowed to work for people, and we're also not allowed to speak about things because our job is to say, if you're not going to be able to have the talent to be able to put on these shows or talk about your projects. For someone who's not in the union, you can probably write what you want because you're not in it, but it definitely would say if it increases employment, finances for those companies like Netflix or Amazon or stuff, then it's going against, it's going against helping actors and writers. That's, right. I think, really the point. The point is the financial gain, and giving people content. I mean, on the other hand, like if you said, oh, don't watch that movie, well, then I think you're doing good. Like, oh, you don't want to see that, don't do it, maybe then that's the way to go. But that's as far as I know, what I feel about what I know about the strike.
Right. And primarily on the show, we talk mostly about, independent
Yeah,
films
it's good.
For the
That's
most part.
good. And this is where the little guy gets the chance to fly, I just did another film last year called Paradolia. And it's supposed to have a screening in the UK in October. And so they want to fly me out there to be there. And it's also going to be at Fear Fest in the UK. There, it's showing.
Oh yeah, Fright Fest.
Yeah, Fright Fest. Yeah, I think Fright Fest. Thank you. I thought it was Fear
No
Fest.
problem. Yeah,
Didn't say the wrong name.
I produced my first film last year, and we premiered at Fright Fest. It was a very exciting time.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Very cool. Very nice. Well, so it's going to be shown. It's going to be showing. It's going to do the film festival circuit, but I'll be over there. But again, that film is going to get a little bit more press, I think, because other things are not going to be able to be promoted, which is good. I think it's great. All the indie films and everyone's got their own personal way of showing things. So, it also gives I'm going to say the audience, the entertainment audience, a look of like, okay, if we don't have these commercial films, what are films like? What is this world like? And I think that's kind of a good thing for them to feel, because they may take for granted all the special effects and all the, makeup things and all that, even the talent and the actors that are, there. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll have a greater appreciation next time as things, start to get fixed up with the unions.
Yeah. Have you done the festival run before? Have you been had a movie at the festivals and actually gone to them?
Well, this is very cool. I do not normally do short films, but I did this short film Paradolia, and I did a film called Falling Up. And it was for this director named Austin Ramey, who was a lovely guy. He was a student at, I want to say, Art Center. He went to Art Center, and he had a film that was a time period piece, sort of like an X-Files kind of story. Mm-hmm. And it's a long story basically, but basically he promoted it and put it in the Hollywood Real Independent Film Festival. And I won my first award as Best Supporting Actress for that film. And that was huge. I never in my whole life won an award. And I was so grateful that I did that short, and then that happened. So it's kind of interesting because I did not go through that sort of world, that now I get to do it later on in life, and I get to go to the film festivals and experience that. So who knows what'll happen next,
Yeah,
but
that's very exciting. I hope you have a good time. I enjoy the film festivals quite a bit, so I hope you have a good time.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen incredibly cool things at film festivals. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that was
so good.
I'd said in the previous interview, of obviously people had worse things happening during COVID, but it was the thing that I missed was going to the film festivals and going to the movies.
Yeah, and conventions. Conventions are so cool. I'm going to do a convention in Pensacola, Florida, Pensacon in February at the end of February. And then I'm also going to do another convention. I can't say what it is until they announce it, but I will be back east in October for and it has to do with horror. So looking forward to that as well. So that's another place where, you connect with people and we can talk. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And the festivals, especially for short films. So the features usually end up, they'll end up either theater or Shudder, maybe, or Tubi, something like that eventually.
Yeah.
But a short film, sometimes there's no other platform for them to go to. So sometimes I've seen really great shorts, but I've only ever seen them at the festival run.
Exactly. And you remember them, right? Yeah. I'll never forget. There was some short films. I will never forget them because they were so powerful. Or you want to see that actor again. It's kind of interesting.
That's a good point too. A lot of times I'll see a short film and I'm like, wow, I really like that. And then it makes me seek out either their other stuff or the filmmaker were going to make a feature film, and I was like, well, I remember they're short, now I want to check this out, and that's very fun.
I agree.
So I recommend festivals for what if you're just a fan, if you're in movies, whatever. I think there's something there for everybody.
Yeah, and it's a great way to just network and meet your people. You know, that's another thing where with conventions and with film festivals, you're meeting your people. You're meeting the people who love what you love, and discussions, and it's just super cool. If you've never gone, go do it. It's so good.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I mean, that's how I got involved making movies is I went as press, and then I met people, and, I got involved, made a short film, and then made a feature film. So
I love it. I love it. And is it horror?
It is a horror comedy.
Horror comedy, great.
It's
what? I find that very, horror and comedy actually are very close because people in the horror community usually have a really good sense of humor, and they're nice people. I mean, it's real.
Yeah. And I think they're the two best movies to watch with other people because there's a nice interaction there. You can laugh or scream or whatever, together. As opposed to a drama, you could all sit there and cry together, I guess, but it's not the same.
But you're busy watching the story, and it's a lot of dialogue, and you're so busy in your head that you not necessarily have the feeling, it's a thinking place, more with drama.
Yeah, it adds to the community aspect, I think, the communal aspect of watching a movie together, if it's comedy or horror.
Yeah, I agree.
Very good. And I really liked Waking Nightmare, not just because I thought it was a really good movie, and it was very unique, and really your performance was great, and it really made me smile, and it was great. It was good.
I so appreciate you say that because I know that everybody's got different tastes, but especially when I hear it from somebody, when you just see it, it's like it just is it's satisfying because that's the energy you put into a role, and you want people to get it, and even if it's not your style of stuff, like appreciate it. So, but I know it is your genre, so yes,
yeah,
I'm really.
And I do watch other movies. I'll let I don't want people to take away my horror card. I like kind of movies in general, but this is a horror show. But
very cool.
I do want this is an independent film. I just do want to mention it because today is the anniversary, not 10th anniversary, but it's the anniversary of the movie. And we had the director on last week, Fred Vogel, the final interview.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. All right, Fred is so cool. He is a good guy, and I adore him and his wife so much. They invited me to do that film in Pittsburgh, and it was, the description. I mean, here's this guy. He's making these films, and he's like, okay, I'm going to make a film. It's kind of like a play, and it's going to only have like 3 characters, basically. There'll be a couple extra characters or whatever, but we're going to try to make this work. I'm going to try to shoot it like a play, sort of. And I thought, wow, like that's what indies are about, like being able to be creative and take a chance and try something. And so what I love about the film that we did, it was called The Final Interview. If you ever get a chance to get it, do. Because what happens in this film is you have to listen so well to the story because you're visualizing so much. And so when we watched it in the theater, not a pin drop, like literally no one got up, no one went to the bathroom. Everyone was like, because you can't miss a beat of that film. Like every piece of information is important. So everyone's just sitting there really tense. And at the end, when it ends, everyone's exhausted. Like they're looking at each other going, wow, like I've never been to a movie where there was no talking because everyone really was listening to the dialogue and imagining in their minds what was happening. And I mean, I just thought it was really sophisticated of him to go there and take a chance to do that. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I got to see it actually at Buffalo Dreams Fantastic Film Festival with Fred. It was the first time I met Fred. When it was a few years ago, 2018, 2017. And it exactly said, going in, I was like, I knew it was a dialogue-driven movie. And, I was thinking, it's like 2 hours, whatever. But no, you're into it. You're invested right away, and it's not boring at all. You're really invested in the characters and see where this movie goes.
And it's a psychological sort of a machismo thing going on. Like it's two guys that are like, you're actually saying like, who's worse?
Right, right. Who is the real villain here?
Who's the bad guy here? Between these two guys who one is up for a death row and the guy who's interviewing him. And I'm sort of playing this. I mean, I play a television producer, but I'm also the voice of the conscience of
it's an important part because, like you said, you have these two characters who's not even necessarily the villain, who's worse, and then so if you don't have like the middle person like yourself, it might not work.
Yeah, you wouldn't know kind of where to bend or what to see. I give additional information that helps us understand the full story of my ex-husband and Granger Hines, who played my ex-husband, was amazing. Like he gave like an Oscar-winning performance within that movie. Yeah. Like just like everything stopped. We went, whoa. It's great to see actors really flourish. I mean, I have been doing this for so long, and the only thing that stops me in my tracks is when an actor says, "This is for me," and they give. Whereas, like, some people go, "Oh, this is just a job. What are my lines? Where do I stand? I'm done." But the diamond in the rough is the actor, and I don't care if they're famous or not, is the one who takes advantage of the moment and says, "Okay, I'm going to rock this." And that's exciting. Like that's exciting for me to work with them, and also to say, hey, that's why the creative arts are so important. So
yeah. Granger was there in Buffalo too, both the actors, and great performance, great movie. I think it's Fred's best movie, and today's the anniversary. I just want to mention because you can get it for a special price too, which is $10 off his website.
Oh yeah, people do get it.
Yeah. And it's limited to 1,983 copies. So.
Yeah. And they also have cards. He has
it's got a bunch of cool stuff.
You can't get anywhere else. They're like collector items, and they're signed by me and all this stuff. Very cool.
Yeah, great movie. So yeah, I just wanted to mention.
See, these are going to be little jewels. Like in my career, I have like the ones that are commercial success, but then these are the ones that, like, if you're a collector, they're cool. Like they're jewels.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk about festivals, I was really happy I got to see that at the festival, and it never got like a release really like on a streaming site or anything. I think you have to get it from Fred. You have to either rent it or buy it. So
yeah, I
was happy to see that at the theater. And it was very weird because we finalized this interview actually last Thursday, right before I was doing the interview with Fred. So it was a really weird coincidence.
That's weird. That is weird.
Yeah. And he just messaged me here on Facebook. Awesome.
Yay!
Please tell Diane how amazing I think
I send my love to both of them, and I'm glad that he's recovered. He had some, I think, problems surgery-wise, and just like as if like life is hard, and then some. So I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah. So people should check out Waking Nightmare. I really dug it, and it was really nice to meet you and talk with you.
A pleasure. It was so much fun being on the show. And again, you guys, if you're scared of me, don't be. Come and see me at the any convention I'm at. You could follow me on social media, actress Diane Franklin. I guess I should change that to actor Diane Franklin. But I've started, I put that down before actor came into play. Isn't that funny? Mm-hmm. So actress Diane Franklin is my Instagram, and Diane Franklin 80, Noah S 80 on Twitter, and Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Diane Franklin Official, but that's me. So,
all right, very good. I'll follow you everywhere.
All right, I love it.
Not out in the streets, but on social media. Everywhere.
That's fair. I'll take it. After seeing the movie, I don't think you want to be.
That's
right?
a good point. It's a good point. Yeah.
Now I'm going to be very safe after that.
Yeah, and I always try to say actor as well. Because you don't say directoress or something,
Yeah. Well, my always thing, I'm just bringing a point, is why can't a guy be an actress? Why can't we just act? Like, why does it have to be actor? Why do we go? Or, like instead of saying, I was just saying to someone, why do we have the woman? We should just call it We have a man, so should we call it Wan? Like, like just go there, just do it,
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it's all so many names, it's all getting confusing. Just actress Diane Franklin working for me.
All right, very good, fair enough. All right, it's been awesome, and we'll do this again sometime when things are back to normal.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks everyone for watching. That was awesome. Diane Franklin, great interview. And Waking Nightmare, very cool movie, very unique. I recommend it. And the final interview I really love. It's one of my favorite movies that year. So go and get that today. I believe it's till midnight or sometime today. So go do that. There's only 1,983 copies of that out there. So go get it. So this is going to be the last live show, most likely. Regular show on Thursday nights until I get back. So Annabelle and I will be going out to LA to film Psycho Ape 2, and then I'll be headed to Virginia for Genre Blast. So that'll be a good time. And come on out, see the Once and Future Smash and End Zone 2. It'll be good stuff. And then we're going to try to do some live updates while we're out in LA, and maybe while I'm in Genre Blast. So subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, that's awesome. But also please go and subscribe on the YouTube. Things will pop up there, and they'll probably also pop up on Facebook. But when we come back, our first live show back in September 7th, I just got the confirmation. Mike Lackey will be on the show from Street Trash, original Street Trash. I say original because they're doing a sequel reboot at the moment, but that's very exciting. We also have Gary Sherman on the show in September, who is the director of Vice Squad and Deathline. Lots of cool stuff. I'm very excited about that. Last year was the 40th anniversary of Deathline, or maybe it was either the 50th anniversary of Deathline and the 40th anniversary of Vice Squad. Nicholas Vince will return, who has a new film that's going to be playing at Fright Fest, and that is I Am Monsters. Adrian Tepes, waiting tomorrow to see the movie. Excellent, good man. It's awesome. Yeah, it is a good movie, Pepe. Safe travels. Thank you, Pepe Petit. You're a good dude. Oh, I'm sorry I missed Diane, what are your top 3 horror favorites? I'm sorry, Jamie, I missed your question, but we're going to get it back on when she could talk all about her career, and that'll be cool. I look forward to traveling. Yes, it's nice to be traveling around. I agree. But I'm sorry I missed your question, Jamie. Mike Carpenter, thank you for sharing this. Tell Diane hello for me off air, of course. We will do that, Mike Carpenter. Here's, I got a little excerpt, a little clip from Nicholas Vince's I Am Monster. Now, Nicholas Vince, some people know him as Chatterer from Hellraiser 1 and 2. And I know him as the man with the best groomed beard I know. But besides that, no, he's a really sweet guy. I'm a huge fan. He's a writer. Was doing podcasts for a while. I think that's on hiatus. Does some short films. And so his new movie is I Am Monsters. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. Here's a little clip of it.
They invited me in for a chat over tea and biscuits. I explained I'd always felt like an outsider. The gentleman assured me we can't all be rugby-playing types, and you'll probably grow out of these feelings. That's when I realized I didn't want to grow out of these feelings. They were part of me. I didn't push it any further. I mean, it was 1976, and it was illegal to perform a homosexual act under the age of 21. I could have been sent to prison for being gay. An all-male prison.
All right. Well, I'm very interested in seeing this. I Am Monsters. I believe he did the play, one-man show beforehand, and this is the film version. That will premiere at Fright Fest in London. Final interview anniversary I mentioned. Also the 10th anniversary of Sharknado. And yesterday and today they were doing some theatrical releases. So we're probably too late right now. But yeah, you could have saw it the last couple of days at the theater. That would have been fun. Peter Dinklage is the new Toxie. I should have had the photos here, but Peter Dinklage, the first pictures came out from the new Toxic Avenger. The poster art and a photo of Peter Dinklage as Toxie. So Peter Dinklage plays the Toxic Avenger. I'm gonna have to wait and see. There's a lot of very cool people I like involved in this. It's just weird to me to do a big budget remake of the Toxic Avenger because I consider it like, this independent film, really very low budget. So it's very strange, but I'm not saying it's impossible. So I will refrain from saying really one way or the other until it comes out. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game comes out tomorrow. People love the Friday the 13th one. I was not a big fan, but I'm not a really good judge of this because I haven't really played video games since, honestly, I'm not joking, since N64. And so I gave that one a shot. I wasn't a big fan, but I've never done any of these other online video games. So most people love them. So this is probably, because I think it's made by the same people, probably like the same type of gameplay. I think the graphics are a little better. You can play. I think you can play as humans or as the different family members. I think it's playable as Leatherface, the hitchhiker. Is Chop Top in it? I'm not sure. I think Chop Top and is the cook in it? I'm not positive. But either way, check it out if you're into the video games. Pepe Petite, this should be interesting. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm confused. For Mutant Toxie got laid a lot. That's true. Does it make you feel better or worse? It's like, hey, if the Toxic Avenger can get a fine young damsel, so can I. Or is it like, what the fuck? He can get this guy that's a mutant, that was mutated in toxic waste. He can get women and I can't. What the hell has this world come to? So I could see it going either way. So I actually didn't know until we did the interview that she wasn't allowed to talk about old stuff. So I had some stuff in my notes from her previous films, but that's totally fine. We will talk to Diane at a later date. Huge fan of Where the Devil Roams. People should check that out when they're able to, either at a festival. So, this all ties together. If you can make it to London, or if you're in London, because I know we have a lot of listeners in England, Fright Fest. So you've got Where the Devil Roams. You've got the short film with Diane Franklin. You've got I Am Monsters with Nicholas Vince. You got Black Mass from Devani Penn. A lot of good stuff there. It's a huge convention. I would recommend checking it out. Yeah, I heard this yesterday. They introduced a new character, Crazy Sister, in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. I know some people are against adding another character, but I don't know. I think that the idea is they also wanted, a female killer, which, if you're a lady playing the video game, like, I want to play someone like me killing folks. So that's fine. I get it. Is there no crazy, I guess was there any, I think in the Leatherface, that weird prequel where it's like the origin story, there was a female character. But I mean, that movie's not really beloved or anything. So I don't know. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Well, looks like I'm going to take off. So hit the like button here on YouTube. If you're all watching on Facebook, go and subscribe on the YouTube page, please. Subscribe on Spotify. Go to the website. There's links to all the different platforms we're on. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. The Facebook group is very active. Instagram, the Reels get a lot of views, so check those out. We're also on the X, Twitter. I'm on Threads too, but for a little while I had high hopes for Threads, but I think it's already, the novelty starting to wear off. I always forget to post stuff there. But we're on Threads. Maybe we can get that going. I don't know. And also, please subscribe on Kick. We did a... we're going to start doing the Saturday Night Frights on Kick. So that's kick.com/withoutyourhead. The last one was really fun. Bathtub Shark Attack. We got coming up a little Green People. That'll probably be the end of September. And also Severed Limbs Films will be on the Kick. So go and subscribe to that, please. If you'd like to help out the show, you could send a super chat, or you can Venmo at Headyverse just to help cover the cost. And when people do that, I like to send them a free... it's not free because you're donating, but you're not buying this. It's a thank you. I will send out a sticker. Boom. I also got a lot of 3X horror movie shirts from when I was a bigger man. 3X and 4X, if anyone's interested. Look me up on Facebook or email me withoutyourhead@gmail.com. All right, have a good evening. You as well, Pepe Petit. Thank you guys for watching. Big thanks to Joe Diablo for coming on. Sorry, Annabelle and Troy cannot be here. They'll be on here soon. A big thank you to John Adams, Toby Poser, and Zelda Adams. Fantastic filmmakers. And a big thanks to Diane Franklin for coming on. And our music of the month here, Hellbender. All right, so we are going to get out of here, folks. Good night, everybody.
Stars in the darkness, seals on the face. Nothing more than the wind, nothing more than the ghost coming up from me. Black on the water, count up the day. You can walk through the gates of hell, but you never will get away. Just a breath away. She's the devil's daughter.